From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Arizona officials are rethinking education from the ground up. A new program aims to support students on a path to post-secondary schooling.
Plus, Vietnam veterans are getting a special recognition in the East Valley. Find out how a wall to remember will honor Vietnam vets.
And nearly 4 in 10 millennials have at least one tattoo. But a new report by the American Academy of Pediatrics warns parents and teens of the risk of getting inked.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Tyler Finger.
And I'm Madison Connor. Thank you for joining us.
Education in Arizona, with the state consistently landing in the bottom of national rankings, leaders, lawmakers, and advocates are speaking out and raising expectations. Here's a look at where we stand. According to Expect More, Arizona's progress meter, scores are low when we look at 3 and 4-year-olds in quality learning environments and third-grade proficiency in language arts. Less than half of 8th graders are prepared for high school math, and only 53% of high school graduates are enrolling in post-secondary education. But by 2030, education advocates hope to get 45% of kids into quality early learning centers, 72% of third graders proficient in reading, 69% of 8th graders prepared for math, and boost enrollment in post-secondary education up to 70%. One group working to achieve those goals is the Helios Education Foundation. Cronkite News reporter Emily Richardson reports on how a groundbreaking today could improve education in Arizona.
We get education right at the state level. It takes care of almost all the other issues I have to deal with in public policy. Then people are prepared for the future, prepared for a job and a career.
Even with the latest news that Wallet Hub ranks Arizona the worst place for teachers and 41st in quality of education, there's a renewed emphasis on improving Arizona's school system. Part of that is the groundbreaking of the Helios Education Foundation's new education campus near 32nd Street in Camelback.
And they have been committed to supporting educational equity, particularly as it relates to our Latino student population. In Phoenix, that's critical.
Helios has invested millions of dollars across Arizona and Florida to improve student success. Helios Education Foundation is dedicated to making sure individuals in Arizona achieve a post-secondary education. Helios CEO Paul Luna says community engagement is important to his organization, and one of the ways they achieve that is through the Arizona Latino Student Success Initiative.
Our goal and one of our near-term strategies is how can we work together to eliminate that achievement gap, and how do we help all students, but in particular Latino students, to achieve some type of post-secondary education degree success at the same rate as all other students. Mayor Stanton says Helios has been a game changer for education.
But to really reach our full potential, we must have a higher educated, better prepared 21st century workforce.
In Phoenix, Emily Richardson, Cronkite News.
Those getting teaching degrees from a state university can get their tuition costs waived as long as they stay in Arizona to teach. It's a promise made by Governor Doug Ducey during his State of the State address. Bailey Moore explains how this program will work.
Our goal is to recruit the best and the brightest students who are committed to high standards, service to others, and have a drive to deliver the highest quality education.
With the presidents of all 3 state universities on hand, the Arizona Teachers Academy was unveiled during a news conference on Tuesday. Those that will benefit talked about why they want degrees in education.
The teachers who taught me about science, math, art, and music. The teachers who told me there's nothing in this world that you can't be if you want it enough. I knew I wanted to change the world. And what better way to do that and better my community than with a classroom of 30 students.
Arizona ranks 49th in terms of median teacher pay, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Many become saddled with student loans after graduation.
Doctors, lawyers, business people, many will make 6 figures within a few years of graduation. But for teachers, paying off the debt from their education can take decades.
But not for those who take part in the Arizona Teachers Academy. It will provide a tuition and fee waiver to all of its members in exchange for a year-to-year contract to teach at an Arizona public school.
They could help shape children's lives in countless ways And in doing so, these teachers are shaping the future of our state and our nation.
Ducey hopes this will encourage high-quality teachers to stay in Arizona classrooms. In Tolson, Bailey Moore, Cronkite News.
One Arizona teacher received an unexpected award for her commitment to students, sometimes under very difficult circumstances. Chicanos por la Causa says she's an inspiration, both inside and outside the classroom. Cronkite News reporter Alex Valdez traveled to San Luis, Arizona to capture the moment. Alex?
San Luis Middle School is located just a few miles north of the border with Mexico, and it was here where this particular 7th grade teacher received the surprise of her life, a life marked by both triumphs and hardships. For the past 10 years, Lucia Alvarez has been more than just a math teacher. She's also been a support system to every student that walks through her classroom door, even on the toughest of days.
People still think that if you can't do anything else, just be a teacher. No, being a teacher, it's teaching with your heart.
And it's because of that love for teaching that comes from her heart why Chicanos por la Causa has chosen Alvarez as one of 2017's Esperanza Latino Teacher of the Year.
These are teachers with an outstanding commitment to their students, to what they do. Many of them have overcome really difficult obstacles in their life.
Many of the students in Mrs. Alvarez's class know a thing or two about obstacles. Often, they have to get up as early as 3 a.m. to get ready for school and cross the border from Mexico into the U.S. Alvarez says she has a special connection with them because she's gone through the same challenges.
Some of them, they don't have a house here, so they have to live in San Luis. They come and go every day. They have to wait in line like for 2-3 hours. I tell them, just keep on going, don't give up, never give up, because if I could do it, you can do it.
Mrs. Alvarez is one of 4 teachers receiving this award. And after 10 years of teaching, she says she wants her students to know one thing, that no obstacle is too big to overcome.
You're not only teaching the subject, you have to teach them the values, you have to teach them moral. They spend sometimes more time with us than with their parents.
Mrs. Alvarez will receive a cash prize of $5,000, and the organization also donates $2,500 to the school they currently teach in. Live in the broadcast center, Alex Valdez, Cronkite News.
Democrats in Congress have asked the judge in Joe Arpaio's case to invalidate his recent pardon given by President Trump. 33 Democrats filed a friend of the court brief today in Phoenix. They say the pardon issued to Arpaio is a trespass on the power of the courts. Racial profiling is still a problem in the Valley. A recent audit report says Hispanics are more likely to be searched and arrested by sheriff's deputies at traffic stops than whites. New Sheriff Paul Penzone is developing plans to correct these problems.
As part of National Voter Registration Day, the local Phoenix chapter of the National Iranian American Council held a voting registration drive in Scottsdale. Organizers set up outside Caspian Food Market with Iran included in President Trump's travel ban. Activists say they want to ensure votes are counted from Iranian Americans in the Valley. Many of those who registered at the event did not want to speak on camera, concerned about their privacy, but a few shared why their community's civic engagement is so important.
How the elections went last year and the country getting polarized, I really felt some middle ground. My vote really is going to count for something, because these are not the same elections I grew up with.
There's been a lot of concern from our community as well as other immigrant communities, especially in light of the Muslim ban. And we just feel like it's really important to mobilize the community in order to protect our civil rights.
Organizers say 5 Iranian Americans living in the Valley are now newly registered to vote after the event.
Many veterans face troubled times after returning home from war. Vietnam veterans are no exception. I had the chance to sit down with Vietnam veterans in Arizona to discuss their personal stories, as well as what they are up to now. Vietnam veterans dealt with harsh conditions, not only in the war, but long after the war ended.
The situation of Vietnam was not good. When we came back from Vietnam, we were told, do not wear your uniform. That's a shame. It should not be that way.
You put your uniform in a box, you put the box in the closet, and you close the door, and you don't think about it, because so many people didn't want to talk to you about Vietnam. The stereotypes about Vietnam vets was really not good.
When the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall was completed in 1982, almost 8 years after the war ended, it brought back memories a lot of veterans were fighting to forget.
When I first went back, I mean, my wife had to catch me because, I'm sorry, I dropped right to my knees. Because it just, I had friends on there and good friends. I've been to Washington twice and saw the wall, and it's tremendous. If you've been there, it means something. Even if you haven't been there, it means something.
And now one local nonprofit has secured land to build a Vietnam memorial in Gilbert. Operation Welcome Home broke ground on a project last year that is set to honor Vietnam veterans here in Arizona. Right now it is just a dirt lot, but that's about to change. Operation Welcome Home President Lisa Rigler sent this statement on the progress of the project. With the recent approval of our Phase 1 plans from the town of Gilbert and now the awarding of this contract, we are one step closer to seeing the dream of this park become a reality. Those that fought believe the wall here in Arizona will be just as important as the one in D.C.
We have over 600,000 veterans just in the state of Arizona. And then, you figure veterans from California and all the other states, and it's the only one like that west of the Mississippi River.
New episodes of the Ken Burns documentary on the Vietnam War continue tonight and run through tomorrow night here on Arizona PBS. Here in the Valley, a place where generations of memories were made is closing its doors.
Coming up on Cronkite News, the end of one era may be allowing another one to bloom while leaving a few keepsakes behind. Plus, Arizona Senator Jeff Flake talks wildfire prevention and forest protection on Capitol Hill.
When a story comes in the morning, we're out the door as fast as we can go.
But it's also great to spend more time in communities and produce projects.
From the borderlands to the cities, the reservations, and even the state capitol, we want to get to the heart of the matter.
When the lights come on in the studio, we know our hard work is about to pay off.
We love what we do here at Cronkite News.
We're proud to tell the stories of our state.
Now more than ever, it's important to have a trusted news source, and that's Cronkite News.
Officially from 36, and he hooks it in! Arizona State wins! Keeping one deep, and it is caught! Jalen Strong! Do you believe
it? Does your teen want a tattoo? Well, there's a new study from the American Academy of Pediatrics that may back up your concerns. Reporter Mia Atkins found out some of the risks young people may face by modifying their bodies.
The study found that among high school students surveyed, 10% had tattoos, and 55% were interested in getting one. On average, teens with tattoos got them around 9th grade, but the sample did show that some were tattooed as early as 8 years old.
I have tattoos that I've gotten from when I was 17, 18 years old, and I regret them every day.
Mikey Surratt, owner and artist at High Noon Tattoo in Phoenix, believes people should wait to modify their bodies until age 18. Dr. Vinny Chulani at Phoenix Children's Hospital says that there are some serious health risks that come along with tattooing, such as infections.
Some of the risks, for example, include irritation and inflammation, and that comes as a result of either a reaction to the pigment or to anything that might have been added to a pigment.
New tattoos require up to 2 weeks of proper care for it to heal. That's a big responsibility for an adolescent.
I don't think there's a mental capacity there to really, truly take that on.
The study advises pediatricians to help their patients understand the commitment they are making when they modify their body.
While removal happens and while removal exists, research shows that young people probably overestimate how easy or how effective removal is. Removal is costly, removal is difficult, and removal is only partially effective.
In Arizona, minors are able to get a tattoo if they have parental consent and the parent is with them when they get the tattoo. But Surratt will not allow anyone under 18 to be tattooed in his business.
And it's just sad because they don't know any better. I think that's the biggest issue, is they don't know any better.
Dr. Chulani has 3 pieces of advice for anyone considering getting a tattoo. Make sure you go to a licensed tattoo parlor with sanitary procedures to minimize risk of infection. Understand the care a tattoo requires to heal properly. Finally, understand that removing a tattoo is not easy and does not work completely. In the Broadcast Center, Mia Atkins, Cronkite News.
A popular bar in Tempe is cleaning house this weekend. And as Sydney Eisenberg reports, those who frequented Minder Binders may have a chance to own a piece of the past.
How you doing?
Eric Hoyer is the owner of EJ's Auction and Consignment Store. His most recent task, to sell the remnants of beloved bar, Minder Binders.
You know, they had things up in the ceiling that weighed 5, 6, 7, 800 pounds. We had to take out walls to get things out because it was so large.
It was a bittersweet job for Hoyer.
This was just how it was. In fact, I probably went into Minder Binder dressed like that, yahoo there. Well, maybe not. My shorts were probably a lot shorter back then. We would float the salt on a Saturday, get done, and we'd be starving and ready to start drinking, I guess, back in those days. So we'd head to Minder Binders.
Now, while Minder Binder itself may be gone, the history of Minder Binder has not been hung up.
We are keeping some of the things there. We probably are keeping 5% of the items that we thought were really cool and that made sense for our concept.
The social hall will now take the place of Minder Binders on University and McClintock. Kenny expects to open in about a month or 2. However, Hoyer feels nostalgic about his time at that eclectic bar.
When I was young, I would have never, ever thought I would have been the one that represented selling all of the stuff in there. So it's kind of a cool feeling for me. It brings back some great memories. And it's a little sad to see some of this stuff go.
In Glendale, Sydney Eisenberg, Cronkite News.
The items from Minder Binder will be auctioned off this Saturday.
Government relief efforts are ramping up in Puerto Rico.
And people in the valley are also offering Hurricane Maria victims a helping hand. Find out how a Valley restaurant is sending more than just prayers over to the people of Puerto Rico.
And we have been enjoying cooler weather, but is it going to stay that way? Find out with your 7-day forecast coming up next on Cronkite News.
Are now available for the annual Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism Luncheon, held Thursday, October 19 at the Sheraton Grand Phoenix. Join media industry and community leaders in honoring award-winning co-anchors and co-managing editors of the PBS NewsHour, Judy Woodruff and the late Gwen Eiffel. To learn more or to purchase tickets, call 602-496-0482 or visit cronkite.asu.edu/luncheon.
The relief efforts from Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico has so far been concentrated largely in San Juan, and many outside the capital say they've received little or no help. Puerto Rican officials said electricity may not be fully restored for more than a month after the power grid was destroyed by Maria's Category 4 hurricane winds. Last week, more than 3 million of the island's U.S. citizens have no access to food, water, or fuel.
Employees at a Phoenix restaurant are doing what they can to help the hurricane victims. The Puerto Rico Latin Bar and Grill is collecting relief supplies for victims of Hurricane Maria. They're taking everything from clothes to canned food and bottled water. Restaurant owner Wesley Andujar has family in Puerto Rico that he's been unable to contact. He says they started collecting items last weekend and the response has been overwhelming.
It's a blessing that we have people that, would like to help out, and they're coming out of the woodworks. I have an office, which is a pretty big office. I couldn't even get in it because it was so full. And the hallway to the office was so full. The back of the restaurant is full.
We've been a little spoiled with some cooler weather over the last few days.
Chelsea Ray Ibanez is in the Weather Center with a look at the temps that may be changing.
Right now we are at 90 degrees. We did reach our high much lower than the record we set back in 2009 when we hit 107. Now temperatures across the state, it is getting colder up in northern Arizona where we do want to start bundling up. Grand Canyon right now is at 51, Flagstaff 62, but as we get closer to Lake Havasu, we're back in the 90s, and then Yuma 91. Now into the valley, we are in the high 80s, low 90s until later tonight when we're going to get into the 70s. Cave Creek will be at 77, Apache Junction 78, Coolidge 76, and then Phoenix we could expect to see ourselves at 83. Now for the rest of the week we are going to get warmer. Tomorrow we can expect to have a high of 95 with a low 73, Friday 98, and Saturday 99. It's going to stay that way until we go into next week. So Monday, Tuesday, we'll expect to be at 99. Wednesday we'll dip back down to 98. I'm Chelsea Ray Ibanez, Cronkite Weather.
It's been a big year for wildfires in the U.S., where more than 7 million acres have already burned as of August. And it's been a big week for wildfire talk in Washington. Reporter Bailey Vogt sat in on the hearings on how to bring fires under control.
We're not going to stop all the fires, but I do believe we can stop a lot of these 100,000-acre fires that we see here by building some breaks in some areas by good forest management.
The good forest management he is referring to requires going in and removing excess fuel that can feed a fire once it starts. Arizona Senator Jeff Flake says dead wood needs to be removed and new growth trimmed back, but that it's not happening fast enough.
When you look at some of the acreage, we really need to be thinning about 50,000 acres a year. And we're not even close to that.
Flake says bureaucracy is also getting in the way.
When you look at some of the acreage in our ponderosa pine forest that should have 25, 40 trees per acre, and you're looking at 200, 300, 400 trees, it's just too much.
Environmentalists worry that Congress may push too far in the other direction. The Center for Biological Diversity says some lawmakers are using a bad wildfire season as an excuse to loosen environmental protections to the benefit of loggers. In Washington, Bailey Vogt, Cronkite News.
Self-expression comes in many forms, like dance, music, and art.
But how about on your nails? Coming up on Cronkite News, how one artist has made a name for herself and a financial windfall through nail art.
I'm Bill Moyers. I've been around a long time and I've seen it all. So I can say with a certain authority that public affairs reporting is more important now than ever. It's absolutely crucial for journalism education to continue our legacy of protecting American democracy. Objectivity, fairness, holding the powerful accountable, finding the truth as well as we can. These are the hallmarks of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. Students here are transforming the news industry and honoring the integrity of the school's namesake, the Cronkite School at ASU, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse. TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
Nail art is now a multi-million-dollar business, with its popularity soaring. Reporter Tim Johns introduces us to one Valley nail technician has been at the forefront of cashing in on this colorful trend.
It's art that fits on your fingertips. In just a few years, Sarah Waite has made a name for herself as one of Phoenix's top nail artists. The Valley native founded Chalkboard Nails, a blog and social media accounts that have amassed hundreds of thousands of followers who want to see what she creates next.
I co-authored a book with some other bloggers called Pretty Hands and Sweet Feet. I judged a competition for Sally Hansen in New York City. I've been on TV.
All this attention has allowed Waite to promote her brand and expand her audience. But it's not just weight who's been riding the nail art wave. According to nailsmag.com, nail art has exploded in the past decade. Nail art now makes up 12% of the total number of services done in salons nationwide, and nail art pictures are among the top 5 most tagged items on both Instagram and Pinterest. Erin Bauer is one of Waite's clients. She says it's easy for her to see why people have fallen in love with this trend.
For me, it's a way to express myself. It's just more fun than plain color on my nails.
And for Waite, that form of individual self-expression is what it's all about.
Try something out and maybe push yourself a little bit style-wise and see if you like that vibe, and then, if you don't, it comes off.
But no matter where this trend goes next, there's no doubt that Waite will continue to nail it. In Phoenix, Tim Johns, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, a preview of the upcoming session of the U.S. Supreme Court. We'll look at the major cases to be considered and the impact of the court's newest member, Justice Neil Gorsuch. A Supreme Court preview on the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next NewsHour. How white supremacists use social media to spread their hateful ideology. That's Wednesday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.